From ancestral plains where large groups offered protection against predators and rival tribes, to modern social gatherings that provide emotional comfort, humans are inherently wired to seek safety in numbers. This deeply embedded instinct, reinforced by millennia of survival advantage, leads to a pervasive psychological bias where the mere presence of others generates a profound sense of security. Yet, this feeling often stands in stark contrast to empirical evidence, revealing a complex paradox. Our perception of safety in a group can be remarkably decoupled from the actual level of risk, leading us to misjudge threats and opportunities for assistance. The primitive brain's heuristic, which equates numerical strength with reduced vulnerability, often overrides more rational assessments, creating a cognitive blind spot where collective presence is conflated with collective protection. This isn't just a simple miscalculation, it's a fundamental aspect of human social cognition that influences everything from public safety initiatives to personal decisions about where we feel comfortable. It represents a profound tension between our evolutionary programming and the nuanced realities of modern social dynamics, a disconnect that can have significant, sometimes dangerous implications. Our ancestors who stuck together were more likely to survive, passing on genes that favored group cohesion and an intuitive trust in the collective. This hardwired preference isn't about conscious choice, it's an automatic response, a cognitive shortcut that saved vital processing power in dangerous environments. The brain interprets isolation as a threat signal, triggering ancient alarm systems, while a crowd, regardless of its composition or actual helpfulness, often registers as a benign or even protective environment. This mechanism relies on the assumption that a larger number of eyes and hands translates directly into more vigilance and aid, an assumption frequently violated in complex social settings. Such evolutionary baggage, though advantageous in a world of saber-toothed tigers, can become a liability when facing threats that are social, psychological, or require individual agency rather than collective might. It's a relic of a time when the mere presence of another human was a net positive for survival, a heuristic that struggles to adapt to the complexities of modern social structures. One of the most potent demonstrations of this safety paradox is the bystander effect, a phenomenon where individuals are less likely to offer help to a victim when other people are present. What feels like a potential safety net instead becomes a collective paralysis, where responsibility for action diffuses across the entire group. The infamous 1964 murder of Kitty Genovese, initially sensationalized as 38 witnesses doing nothing, sparked intense research into this unsettling human behavior. It's not necessarily indifference, but a complex cocktail of psychological factors. Pluralistic ignorance, where each individual looks to others to define the situation and concludes that no intervention is necessary because no one else is acting alarmed. And diffusion of responsibility, where the presence of others reduces each individual's perceived obligation to intervene. This counterintuitive outcome directly challenges the inherent assumption that more people equate to more help, exposing the fragility of perceived group safety. The anonymity afforded by a large group further erodes individual accountability, a concept known as de-individuation. When submerged within a crowd, individuals may feel a reduced sense of self-awareness and personal responsibility, leading them to engage in behaviors they wouldn't normally consider when alone or in smaller identifiable groups. This effect is frequently observed in riots, mob violence, or even less extreme but equally concerning situations like collective harassment online, where the perceived cloak of anonymity emboldens actions. The group acts as a psychological shield, dampening personal inhibitions and ethical considerations, making individuals feel less identifiable and therefore less accountable for their actions or inactions. It transforms the individual from an autonomous agent into a mere component of a larger, often irrational entity. Consequently, what feels like a sanctuary of shared identity can actually become a crucible for behavior that would be unthinkable in isolation. Not all groups are created equal, and the perception of safety is heavily influenced by the group's structure, shared goals, and explicit norms. A cohesive team with clearly defined roles and a history of cooperation, like a search and rescue squad, genuinely offers enhanced safety and effectiveness. In contrast, a random aggregation of strangers, lacking established communication or mutual trust, provides little more than statistical noise, or worse, social inertia. The critical differentiator lies in whether the group fosters genuine collective action and shared responsibility, or whether it merely provides a sense of collective presence without actual commitment. Our ancient brains struggle to distinguish between these two fundamentally different types of groups, defaulting to the more is better heuristic. Understanding this distinction is vital, as it allows us to move beyond superficial feelings of security and towards genuinely robust systems of collective support, recognizing that true safety in numbers requires active, organized cooperation, not just passive coexistence.